Okay. Welcome back to the Last Things live stream. No real news on the channel in general. I've got a couple more monologue-y little things coming up. And nothing in the way of music, actually. The stuff I'm working on music-wise, writing-wise, I'm just kind of keeping it under wraps and chipping away at this big project that's going to be coming out later in the year. So yeah, it's not going to be the regular, trickling content as much, but a couple monologues coming up. And yeah, we can pretty much get right into it in a second, although, I do like to let people trickle in. But yeah, today we've got Bradley Coy, who is super interesting. He does music under the name Silk Defect. And I think he's probably got some other projects in the works as well. We're talking about doing some stuff together too. Well, we're more than talking about it. We're going to do it, but we haven't dug into the actual material yet. But yeah, I met Bradley through just through online, and then we hung out in real life. But I met Bradley through Xylon, Xylon Genesis Otterburn. Anyone who has not seen that or watched or listened to that live stream with Xylon Genesis Otterburn, that is possibly my favorite that we've done. Not to, I mean, there's other people I've had on here who I know better or have known longer, or maybe are more well-known or whatever, but what we got into with Xylon, just their whole trip about jury duty and just their trip about politics and art, it was really, yeah, we went for 3 hours. So yeah, then Xylon was saying that they were kind of consultant or something on a record, sort of vaguely producing or something, this artist, Silk Defect. So they played me the stuff, and I was like, yo, yes. Yeah. So yeah, Bradley's based in LA, or roughly nearby LA. Let's just bring him on. I really don't have, sometimes these preambles are somewhat unnecessary. You fast forward, the Mark Maron effect, where you just fast forward. Dude, I saw that guy do 10 minutes of stand-up last week, and it was just the worst. It was the worst thing ever. It was just dark. It was the darkest type of guy. I don't know why I'm wasting breath trashing Mark Maron on the live stream. Here we go. Bradley Coy in the house.
What's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. Chilling.
Yeah. You're out in Riverside, right?
Yeah, for right now. It's recent change, just moved out from LA, so back with the parents,
Dude, there's no shame in that. At least at your age, there's absolutely no shame in that. Get to my age, it's really, parents? But man, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. It was a tumultuous year, so.
Yeah. If you're gonna have a tumultuous year and personal shit, it's may as well do it during COVID. I don't know, just pile more on there. Yeah, you were in Koreatown, man. You showed me around Koreatown, which is really cool.
Yeah, it was sick. It was nice. I really enjoyed pluses and minuses to the density, but it was super cool to just be able to walk around and all that as somebody who kind of came from more of a suburban environment.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, no, being from New York originally is just, we could walk around, man. It was really, we actually took a walk. It was oh, this is actually kind of reminds me of home or something, Yeah. And they had that bar we went to was relatively lax about masks and stuff, which is refreshing.
Yeah, HMS Bounty is super sick. Definitely a spot I went to a few times. I didn't even go out very much, but
you don't go out very much?
Oh, I didn't back then, but that was definitely one of the spots I would go out to. It had a real nice, mellow, warm lighting and everything. So
yeah.
People there were nice too.
Do they have venues in Koreatown? I can't, or any kind of, I don't know, are there shows there? I don't even know what's there really, other than that bar.
Yeah, me neither, honestly. I know that there's kind of there's apparently a pretty happening nightclub scene from what I heard, but I mean, when I was out there, like half of it was like total lockdown or whatever. So
Yeah.
didn't really get a chance to see what was up with all the live events and everything like that. I'm sure that there's like basement shows or house shows happening and just haven't heard of them.
Because, dude, that's what like, I want to get more up in that scene in LA, you know, just like the straight up DIY. I mean, I went to that place, the Handbag Factory, when I first
sick.
got here. That was really cool. That was great. But I don't know if that's still even, is that still open? I don't know. That was
actually, from what I heard recently, I do believe that they shut down, which sucks because I actually never got to go out there. But
oh yeah,
I always heard about it as like one of the best spots, especially for like experimental music and all that kind of stuff. Coaxio is really sick. Really liked Coaxio a lot. I don't know if you've been out there much.
I went to Coaxio. Yeah, I saw a Nightcrawler play there, which was cool. It was like a pretty small place for Nightcrawler to be.
Yeah.
To be ripping it. Yeah, it was cool. You know Chris at all?
I don't actually.
Svendiari? Yeah, I don't know. Similar thing. You know Nightcrawler though? You check that out or?
Not really.
Oh, okay. Right
yeah, I have to check it out, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, she does. She's mainly known for King Woman, if you know that band. That's her. Anyway. Yeah, I saw fucking Handbag Factory, dude. I saw Wreck and Reference. Do you know them?
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I must have been wild.
Because I was listening to your stuff again, like just brushing up on it, and I was just like, this actually like a little bit, not necessarily like the sound, but just some of the feeling in some of Silk Defect. I was like, I don't know, the kind of darkness. I was like, this is I can.
No, totally. I could see that in a similar territory as well.
A little compatible. Although I don't
moody.
Really hear, yeah, there's a dark. Although I don't really hear like a lot of emo. I don't hear emo roots in your stuff, whereas with them, I kind of do. I don't know.
That's interesting because I actually kind of grew up on a lot of like metalcore, emo, post-hardcore sort of stuff, and I feel like it had a pretty big, even subconscious influence on me. Like one of my favorite bands back in the day was like Underoath, like early Underoath and shit like that. So
okay, yeah. I think we talked a little bit about heavy stuff, but like, yeah, I didn't know how deep that's like your OG shit was like metalcore. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean like elementary school, which is pretty young to be into that stuff from what some of my friends told me, but I had older siblings, so
it is. I think 10 or 11 is when I heard like And Justice for All, and then
sick.
broke heavy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then quickly from then you get, underground stuff and metalcore
and
whatnot. But I don't know.
That's a good record to kind of be your entry point.
That's the thing. Yeah, I got my mom to buy it for me because I had seen the T-shirts.
Yeah,
it was like, that looks scary. I like horror movies.
Yeah,
what's that sound like? And I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I hoped that this shit sounded like. And then the rest is history, man. Yeah, like metalcore, dude. It keeps going, right? I mean, it's just like it's still a thing, right? It's just more and more produced or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's been a lot of weird like overlaps between a lot of that kind of like scene nostalgia stuff and then sort of like the hyper pop, almost emo rap stuff that's really hot right now. And like, I don't know, Gent, if you ever got into Gent, a lot of Gent, sort of weird, like electronic, like hyper produced sort of shit.
Yeah, I never really, like, Gent was a little bit after my time.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, by the time Gent happened, I was just like, just like Stockhausen, like,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like, I obviously like super technical stuff, but like, seems like with YouTube, I don't know, the YouTube shredder culture or like whatever, young kids get exposed to like, right, like just the highest level clinical like master classes on how to shred when they're like 7, so it's just like the technique standard, right, is just like ratcheted up,
that was like basically me. I had a YouTube channel when I was like 12 and was playing like Necrophagist and Death on guitar and all that.
You had your own channel where you were like doing videos of you shredding?
Yeah.
I love it, dude.
They got some they got more views than anything that I've ever done since that, which makes sense because it's like the novelty, young kid playing really fast, etc.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. On the Silk Defect stuff, like you're not even really shredding on that. I mean, there's some, and I like so when I saw you just like doing shred, just kind of like random shredding on Facebook, I was just like, yes, dude, yes. Yeah, you're total virtuoso guitar player, man. That's it. We got to play guitar. We were
Thank you,
talking
man.
about.
Oh yeah, dude.
We're gonna. Yeah, we got to do it up. But yeah, dude. I mean, like Silk Defect is not really doing live shit though, right? I mean, that's because you were saying you're not really about it, right? Or are
I
you?
mean,
Or...
I am about it. I definitely want to do live stuff, but I did play one show recently, but I was just super unprepared for it because I haven't really had like a proper practice spot and other stuff like that. And sad to say, but like, I mean, I was just unprepared. So like, I just like pressed play on Ableton and did vocals over it, which is certainly not the way that I want to be doing things going forward. But you know,
I know it's like
first show coming back from the pandemic, a little trial run. So,
dude, doing any kind of show right now is like, I mean, it's a beautiful thing to just bringing it. Yeah, the thing like pressing play and singing, it's like, I don't know. I mean, are you like a performer? I mean, do you get on it and stuff, or do you just like sing and stand?
I mean, on the inside, maybe I'm a performer in the sense of like, I do like to just get into it and be expressive. And I feel like there's something kind of vaguely like going into like a ritualistic state of ecstasy and just, you know, completely hyped up. But, I mean, yeah, I would like to have more of a performative element. I just haven't really figured out like my balance with that sort of thing. But yeah, coming from a background of like playing a lot of guitar and like playing in bands and shit, like you know, you can kind of get away with like doing mostly sample based stuff, but a lot of the fun of it is just, you know, in the moment, like controlling.
Totally. Yeah. We were talking when we hung about how it could be cool if you put together like a live band for Silk, you know, or like have some other people playing there, right? Like on stage, or you know, rearrangements or something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry.
No. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love the idea of reinterpreting stuff in a live setting too, because I just love improvisation, and a lot of those pieces come from improvisation as a starting point. So, you know, just being able to kind of graft something completely new in a live setting sounds sick to me. But we'll get there.
Because I heard, I like some of the percussion stuff in there. I don't know if this is it, but it sounds like samples of like free jazzy, crumbly drum stuff. Or am I like not hearing that right? Some of it sounded like that.
Yeah, no, totally. No, yeah. I mean, it was just kind of like MIDI drums, and then just like recording them, like playing them out manually on a MIDI keyboard, and then chopping it up from there and processing it from there. So yeah, I did a lot of like, I've always been really into like spastic jazz influenced percussion. So
yeah. So you're doing that kind of stuff, like just like pressing, like manually playing it on the MIDI, and then okay, yeah,
a lot of finger drumming. Yeah, a lot of finger drumming. I don't know. It's kind of fun doing stuff that way because, you know, it feels more like a performance. It feels like you're playing an instrument, and like seeing the laptop is more of an instrument, I guess. Or...
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, this is what, you know, I mean, I'm not just like blowing smoke, man. I seriously, like when I heard like Silk Defect, I was like, yeah, this is like actually like virtuosic. You know, people don't think of the word. People don't think of the word. I'm really not just, you know, whatever, putting you on.
No, I really, thank you.
It's really just like when people use the word virtuoso, you know, it's like you think about like a traditional instrument or something. But studio stuff, you know, when there's that level of like detail, you know, there's like there's like a huge variety of sounds. The sounds are all located in the frequency, you know, like the registers and the panning, everything, like you can hear stuff, and it's like never gets like swampy, and then there's stuff that's not repeating every time. Like, I don't know.
Dude,
to me, that's just like, oh yeah, this is like chops. You know, it's not like accidentally good. It's like chops. You know.
No, thank you.
So that was you know, that's something I thought was cool, man. I also couldn't like. Just like genre, I know genre is like retarded, but like just like what but
true.
But like I couldn't when I heard it, I was like, I don't have a clear sense of like what, you know, scene this would be in, right? I mean, it's not like club,
totally.
It's not like club electronic, like I don't know. Sometimes there's noise stuff now where it's like, okay, this is noise, but like, or industrial, but like you can tell it's coming out of a club context, like techno, and then there's stuff it's like, oh, this is obviously coming out of a hardcore, like
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, who do you play with? I like, what's the like, who are your
Yeah.
people, man?
I mean, that's kind of a weird question to answer just because I've had so many different phases and sort of weird obsessions with different styles over the years. But I mean, it was definitely a bit of a conscious effort to kind of try and make something that wasn't easily captured or definable like that, I guess. Just because I feel like we have this increased accessibility to a variety of different sounds and aesthetics and styles, and also like the ease of ability to sort of create that stuff. And it just gives us an extreme amount of like breadth to work with.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like an amalgamation of just everything that I've always sort of loved in music. I mean, like, and a lot of it is like shit that's like really just kind of sentimental to me, like adolescent, like high school sort of stuff that I was into back then, and it just has that much of an effect with me today, and it really influenced me. Like the Beatles were like,
yeah, okay, right,
one of my faves back in the day, and I don't listen to them very frequently anymore, but
yeah, just melody and chord progression is just like straight up that aspect. Like, yeah, the Beatles, like, that never really gets like whack or whatever,
Yeah.
It's just like unstoppable content, I mean, there's also, I heard some kind of like some of the auto-tune singing is like just like a little bit of like feels like contemporary R&B or whatever, but like, it didn't seem like you were going for that like really hard or whatever, but it had some contemporary R&B or rap elements. But
hell yeah.
But then the beats aren't really rap, like really. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, just hanging out with skaters in high school and just growing up in SoCal, and just like they're always bumping like, 90s old school rap and shit. And
yeah,
I don't know, I feel like you're just kind of surrounded by that sort of stuff. So it becomes a, subconscious influence, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, I could see you producing like other people too. I mean, just like I could see you working with like rappers and like R&B singer. Just like when people like when they want to like take it way out.
Yeah.
Like just like bring in the like But I met you through Xylon though. Xylon is like straight up noise as far as. I mean, they're into like, they're like encyclopedic knowledge.
Yeah, into everything.
Music, no, Xylon's an encyclopedia. But as far as
absolutely,
as far as a performer though, I know Xylon through like ripping harsh noise, house shows and whatnot. So, do you have a relationship to like harsh noise at all, or?
I mean, I never got super deeply into harsh noise, but before I did Silk Defect, I mean, I had this, let's see, when did I start that? I started that in around 2015. I had basically kind of like an ambient project, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of took a lot of influence from sort of harsher, more atonal stuff. And I played under the name of Thomas Walsh, which is like my middle name and my mom's maiden name that I did for that project. So like, yeah, that was actually, most of the shows that I played under that project were like noise shows. Cause like, I don't know, it just kind of happens that way sometimes. If there's not exactly like an ambient scene, for example, then you'll just end up being on a bill with like umbrella experimental sort of stuff. But
yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, I definitely really fuck with a lot of like noise and industrial stuff.
Yeah, I never really. I mean, it's never really been a kind of thing I like listen to a ton, but just playing underground, generally experimental stuff. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
You end up just like that's the scene to play in and stuff. I like that scene too because it's just like the level of collaboration. Like I like this sort of everyone's prolific.
Yeah,
working with each other. It's not like everything's all precious and stuff. Although I find that refreshing because my whole shit is so precious. Like,
for sure.
What note is this gonna? I mean, Silk Defect sounds like it takes a lot of time and work, right? I mean, that sounds like labor. Right?
Yeah, that was probably one of the most time-intensive things that I've ever done in my life, which maybe says something about me. But I mean, maybe that's an exaggeration, but yeah, that shit, like just the mixing it, I did all the mixing myself, which is a huge pain
Oh
in the
yeah,
ass. I was like working with vocals properly for the first time, and I
yeah,
had to sort of relearn because, like I said, I was doing like beatless instrumental music for a few years before that, and so I sort of had to relearn, introducing percussion, song structure, and like vocal melodies, vocal production.
yeah. Oh shit, what am I doing? Sorry. Um, yeah, man. I mean, it's like the it doesn't sound like that's like your first release, dude. I mean, is that your first Silk? And I mean, obviously, you said it's not your first project, but I mean, is that your first Silk Defect? Was that the first Silk Defect record? Is Luxury of Dirt?
Yeah, it was a debut for the whole project.
Yeah,
It's
man.
cool, yeah.
That's the way to hit the ground, dude. That's the way to hit
Dude,
the
thank
ground
you.
running.
I
Yeah,
really
man.
appreciate it.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Yeah, dude. I mean, it would be sick if yeah, it'd be sick to do some shows together. I don't know. Nothing Human is like did I even send you the Nothing Human stuff?
I don't think you have yet.
Oh yeah, I got to send you
I
that.
know
That's
you mentioned you were doing some kind of ensemble piece or something along those lines, or
Oh, yeah, no, Nothing Human's like electronic. That's
oh,
like
okay,
that
sick.
yeah, yeah, that's like I mean, it's vocal based though, but it's kind of like it's got like synth pop with like some noisy elements and stuff.
Sick.
I'll send you this. I'll send you this stuff. It'll be interesting. It's a sort of trade licks, as it were. Um, yeah, man. When we hung, we talked about theory a lot. That's another thing, man. It's funny when like somebody, um, it's always interesting to me like how I meet people, like how I
Yeah.
make new friends, because it's like it's only been the past couple of years or even the past year that I like make actual real friends off of just online, like
Yeah.
it's although I guess Xylon introduces, but it's still just like I like they were like, yo, check out Silk Defect, and then I'm like, oh, we have all these sort of like contacts in common as far as like not music but just podcasts that we listen to and like theory shit, and it's so I don't know, there's this uh it's like this other connection or something, the whole like theory hang or whatever. I don't know.
Oh no, totally. Yeah, those, I feel like a lot of those worlds are really small. It seems like it's kind of like that a lot of the time where all of these people are just kind of like vaguely affiliated and connected with one another because I don't know if it's that niche of an interest at this point, but I mean,
It's
could be a small world for sure. Same with
it's
like experimental music and stuff.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I feel like the whole theory thing though, it's like it's way bigger with people like your age, people in their 20s. It's like blown up,
Yeah.
like just straight up just philosophy, It's like
Yeah.
that's like a whole scene now, man.
Yeah, I got into a lot of the theorygram stuff through Xyland, and I don't know if you've seen a lot of that stuff, but all
The-
those meme pages of like philosophers and shit.
Some of it, I mean, I know Xylon's page, what is it? Smooth and striated lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I fuck with that and like memes of Saturn and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Beyond Woke and Problematic has some good memes for sure.
Oh yeah. Beyond Woke is super cool.
Yeah, yeah. Um yeah, you're not extremely online though. I mean,
I'm
you're
not.
online, but yeah, you're like it seems like you're like super up on. Do you lurk a lot? Because it seems like you know about all these meme pages, but you're not like tweeting and like starting beef and like doing stuff.
I am guilty of being probably more of a lurker than I should be, and I should probably participate more. But
No,
yeah, I
no,
mean,
it's
like I just like to observe. I like to see what's up sometimes.
no, dude.
I think
Lurking
it's
is
also
good.
been a recent thing over the last couple of years. It's just been kind of tumultuous for me personally. I just like haven't really felt like I've been at a place to really be like putting myself out there on the internet like that, which there's a time and a place for that too, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a weird thing when you're like, there are people who are like, I mean, professional's not the right word, but like people who are like what their art is like posting, and it's like
totally.
so, and then they'll like like they'll change if they change directions with the kind of posting. It's like, ooh, they're like changing their style up.
Yeah.
It's like this guy's getting less racist. He's talking about the CIA now, like it's like whatever. But like but then cats like us, it's like we're like musicians first and foremost. So then I'll be online posting
No, same, yeah.
posting tweets or memes, and I'm like, is this really even? It's like so auxiliary to like what
Absolutely.
I'm actually on Earth like to do, So
Oh, totally.
sometimes I wonder, I'm like, should I just be lurking? Why am I even saying anything in the discourse other than just hyping my music? I don't know.
No, totally. I pretty much feel exactly the same way. I've just this whole time I've just kind of been like, and like, a lot of that stuff is just kind of an accessory for self promotion, which is cool. But I've always, and there's a time and a place for that too. But like you said, I've always just kind of been interested in just doing my thing, making my shit. I don't know. I spend considerable time on recording and producing, and I'm sure you do too. So you relate to just kind of everything else disappears, and suddenly a whole day passes by in 8 hours, and sometimes it feels like a chore to be like, opening up your phone while you're really hyper focused on something.
No, I know, man. I know. It must be such a different thing to be like, to be someone where like as a quote unquote like content creator, when it's like literally like tweets are like your art, man. I mean, that must just be crazy to like, you're doing this like sort of composition all day or whatever. It's like just so different than like, I mean, you're like something like, that's what I like Luxury of Dirt. I'm like, this is an album. Like, this sounds like it took a long time to make, which is like, I like that that's still, I mean, people do still drop albums that are like, several year like visions and stuff. I mean, I'm glad that that's still a way that people roll, man, because I don't know, like this thing of having to make content all the time. It's like, it only works if you're a certain type of artist,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think that there can be benefits to it if you're just super, super interested, because it's like a very, very public format, I guess. Or I would imagine that's one of the differences, is that you're just constantly churning out things that are like made to be disseminated to the public with immediacy. And you probably think a lot more about that sort of relationship with, I don't know, I'm kind of losing my train of thought there, but
well, that's why I like doing these live streams, man, because it's like you can just get into something deep easily.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just like talking, like, it doesn't have to be like this huge, like precious thing, but then
absolutely.
But
it's just a conversation, which is sick.
Yeah. But then the main work's all about the master plan of the 2-year plan, the obsessing over EQing, this notching out some shit on a tom.
Man,
it's like
how many more FabFilter Q3 filters am I gonna add to this?
Tight. I don't know what that is. What's a Fab?
That was a FabFilter. They're just like a plugin company. They have a lot of really good like utility tools, like compressors and shit. They have this insane EQ that's like $150, but it just, you can add unlimited bands. You could do a really complicated mid-side stuff. I don't know. It was just a bad joke.
No, I'm like, okay, joke, but like, let me like cop.
No, yeah, but Pro Q3, no, yeah. I mean, as a mixing tool, that shit slaps, dude. It'll make a huge difference. I recommend you check it out if you're into production.
Fab, yeah, man, yeah, because I've got some tight reverb and stuff. I've got like, I use that Altiverb, like I've got some good shit, but I compressors and stuff I need to get, like I want to get some more compressors with some character, EQs with some character,
yeah, just go pirate yourself some Waves plugins and
yeah, pirated Waves I gotta get, but at a certain point, I don't know, the part of me though, I'm just kind of like I'm like, if I can't make deep electronic music with what I have now, I'm like, at a certain point, I'm like, I got to put a ceiling on this shit, because I already have more things than I'm really, like totally mastered. So, like, yeah.
It's a thing with technology, the burden of too many choices and too much access, and same applies to social media too, I guess. But no, I feel you. And there's kind of a consumerism with like getting the hot new tool and shit, and like I don't know. And I would be a total hypocrite if I said that I don't totally contribute to all of that, because like I think that a new piece of gear or like a new technology can be super vital for activating creativity sometimes. I mean, not vital in the sense that you can't do it without it, but
Right. No, vital as in vitality, right?
Yeah. Totally. Um, but yeah, no, I see what you're saying in the sense that like you have just way too many options, and it can be nice to trim down to just like one instrument. Or
I mean, you just for me, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, I wasn't even doing anything electronic up until maybe like 4 years ago or whatever, just kind of incorporating it in with more band related stuff. I mean, I always used to have just synths, like I'm playing a keyboard preset of some choir shit. You know, I recently got my first analog synth, the Behringer Wasp. I know it's
sick.
Yeah, it's not super esoteric or anything, but it's like, it's cool though. It's like,
no, I've actually heard a lot of good things about those Behringer clones, at least in terms of, you know, the sound and functionality.
It's really like aggressive sounding. It's like definitely what I wanted. It's like, it's grimy or whatever.
Hell yeah.
It's like super warm, you know. It's like
that's what you get from analog. A lot of the time.
It's not polite. Yeah, it's definitely I'm like spitting some stuff out. Yeah, I'm pumped for our collab, man. I mean,
me too.
I mean, I don't know if you're supposed, like, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk about stuff like when we haven't even started it because it's like jinxing it or whatever. It's like, you know what I mean? But it's like we're definitely really doing this. So
absolutely.
So we could talk about it. But yeah, you, me, and Xylon, we're gonna cook something up, man. I'm waiting for him to make the first move though. Them to make the first move.
Yeah, I think they reached out to me, and I have to get back to their email about it. But I think they have a pretty good idea of like sort of starting point already. So
good, yeah, because I want that.
I'm stoked for it for sure.
Yeah, I need that first push of like what it's gonna, you know.
No, same here. I'm almost sitting here like, send me some samples and let me start messing with them. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, for sure. Because yeah, I don't. We may go conceptual. I hope they have some conceptual lyrical stuff too, because I'm psyched to like not. I'm such a lyrics dude with my own stuff. Like it's so important to me to like start with the words. So I'm psyched to just not be doing that, you know, and have them like bring some of the
the sort of the theoretical side and
the theoretical side, yeah, which doesn't have to even be there, but given us three, like it's obviously going to be like theory nerd stuff on some level, you know. They're gonna like bring it in, but
well, what would be like at the top of your list in terms of just general concepts that have been, you know, inspiring to you? And
good question, man. I mean, I'd want to get away from like. I feel like the past, like, I've been harping on certain stuff that I want to like let go for a second, you know, because I like Nothing Human and the last Psalm Zero record. It's like it was all about just like the idea of like the human and like humanism, and the sort of limits of that, you know, like if we're considering, you know, secular humanism as this sort of enlightenment through now project, you know, it's kind of just been expressing these anxieties about the sort of collapse of the idea of the human, not even necessarily getting into like AI, singularity, transhuman, you know, not getting into the sci-fi specifics of that, but just the psychological implication and cultural of like losing ourself, losing like the dignity of man, you know, but that's, I want to move past that, but wait, sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, for sure. So you're saying you want to move past the whole conversation of the human, or do you want to like move past in what sense, I guess?
Well, I don't know, like just in the sense that that's been this like obsessive thing that I've been are you hearing like a little I'm hearing some noisy sounds coming through.
Oh, damn.
You're not hearing this low pitched is that you?
Yeah, I think it's my phone vibrating. I'll have to silence it. Sorry about that.
No problem at all.
Did it go away?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, so, I'm only no, I'm just saying like I've been sort of harping on that topic, just like human. Nothing human. Like, are we human? What happened to the human? And it's like, I don't know. I get obsessed with these things, and I feel like I've like liquidated my own everything that I have to say about that. So that's why I'm kind of like, all right, I wonder what Xylon's been reading, you know?
Reaching a total dead end. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like what you've been, like, I don't know. What have you been reading lately? Just, Anything or?
I mean, like it's kind of the typical thing of me just having a bunch of PDFs open on my computer. So
Yeah.
I haven't been super diligent the past few weeks just because I've been kind of caught up with a lot of personal stuff and moving and everything. So, but I've been trying to get into, I don't even know how you say his name, Stiegler. I've been trying to get into him. So I've been checking out a little bit of the Techniques in Time, which
Okay.
is
I've
like
never read him. Yeah.
yeah. And then I've been trying to chip my way through, A Thousand Plateaus and Anti-Oedipus for about the last year. And I'm just kind of taking my time with it. Earlier today, I was kind of going back through some of the K-punk stuff, like on Mark Fisher's blog.
Yeah.
I was reading him talk about like what the Marxist super nanny or something along those lines. I don't even remember exactly what it is, but
I haven't read that. Yeah, the Marxist super nanny.
yeah, something about how paternalism, the disappearance or sublimation of paternalism and neoliberalism and late capitalism, and how like our consumer media. I don't even know if I'm paraphrasing it correctly, but
yeah.
No, it's sick. It's cool. I'm trying to get back in the spirit. One thing that I read recently, I think it was an article or an essay, but was it DAWs who said something along the lines of philosophy occurs as a result of a rupture and interruption, and that's where philosophy happens? Or
maybe so.
I don't know, but I was reading about Stiegler and how he went to prison and everything. He like robbed a bank and he went to prison at 25, and that's when he read the entire philosophical canon in prison. So, and I think it was in relation to that. But I mean, I'm not in prison right now necessarily, but I've definitely been experiencing. Well, COVID is an interruption and a rupture
and a confinement.
And a confinement. Yeah, no, for sure. So I feel like I'm kind of nearing myself to that place. I'm just, there's been a certain decision in my life, and
yes,
I have to build new grounds for it, theoretically and personally and spiritually. And
dude, this will be a fertile time for you, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna harness these energies, man, for sure.
Thank you.
Stiegler, man. Anyone who's written a book from prison,
just
has it just doesn't. Whether it's just Gramsci,
for sure.
Malcolm X, whatever, Marquis de Sade, fucking who else? Eldridge Cleaver. That's that's edgy shit right there.
Oh, absolutely. Like so much of the spice of life and all the good shit comes from hardships and those moments of just being totally decimated and destroyed and needing to fill yourself with something in order to just survive or pass the time and make it. So
Stiegler's about techniques though, or like technology in some way.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and sort of scan my mind for a way to paraphrase his stuff. But yeah, he talks about, he has this thing about like conceptualizing all of human history as a history of techniques, essentially, which is technology, and kind of using that as a sort of grounding narrative to have an analysis of history and the human, I guess.
Yeah, I think it kind of, I think that stuff does kind of like overlap with these thoughts about the human and stuff. I mean, I know like, man and his techniques, right? With it's like Heidegger or whatever. There's like this sort of idea of technology as an uncovering or something, this sort of like process of discovering and uncovering. I mean, I don't know if I have like crazy anxiety about technology. But I mean, it's hard not to feel some anxiety about, at least to some extent, just the sort of threat to the human or human agency or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that one way that he actually describes it is, I think he speaks about he says technology is the pharmacon, so it's the So both the poison and the cure, and that's how I tend to feel about things. I mean, human agency is weird because, like, I mean, have we ever really had agency in the way that we really came to think that we did during the Enlightenment and all that shit? And
Yeah,
like,
no, yeah, it's been an illusion the whole time.
yeah,
That's what's weird, but a useful concept or whatever, Yeah.
yeah, it is useful. I mean, life would could life even be livable without feeling like you have agency? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like this. Some of this stuff. It's like it's easy to it's easy to want to, but hard to actually accurately like sort of fantasize about what pre-modern cultures, what their different vibes were with the stuff, because you just can't even think in that headspace. But I was kind of getting into that guy. Yeah, we might have talked to him when we were drinking at that place. But Achille Mbembe, that guy?
Yeah, I think you mentioned him in those messages that you were sending me recently.
That's right. Yeah, when we were talking, Achille Mbembe is interesting because he was talking about he talks a little bit about technology and like he's on some very like post-colonial kind of thing, but he's like talking about the idea of co-agency. How like in sort of older cultures, he talks about in like African cultures, which I know nothing about like studies wise. But he was talking about how like a lot of what people thought was like superstition, what the Westerners kind of thought that was quote unquote superstition, and like African thought is like these kind of this animism where it's like you've got a shovel, and then you've got your hand and you're like collaborating with the thing, it has spirit, you have spirit. A co-agency,
Love that.
I find that exciting, and it kind of makes me feel a little more optimistic. It just has a positive vibe for the future, it doesn't have that same kind of like, Nick Land vibe of just like, just the human's done. The AI is God, it's
taking over.
Yeah, like this kind of just like death of the human had a little bit more of like, well, we've always been kind of co-agency or whatnot, and like,
Yeah, it's just like a state of symbiosis,
Yeah, totally.
I don't really know if that sort of balance has been achieved in this current moment, but it might be possible.
Well, working with technology and music, it's like we're already, but
that's where.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, like even just playing a drum in the first place is like already technology. So I don't know.
Totally. What was I gonna say? No, I totally used to kind of come from the whole techno-utopian sort of camp of like, I don't know. I mean, this is probably years ago, but like towards earlier in the decade, I remember there's this feeling that, there's this feeling of positive forward movement, like the whole Arab Spring and everything, and the emancipatory capacities of the internet and technology. And it's definitely been tough to come from that environment of such optimism to see, what happened in the span of about 10 years.
Yeah. The decade was so grim that I'm almost like enjoying looking back at it. I mean, it's like because it's like becoming funny to me just how just the spirit. But I think that early 10s vibe, though, I was probably less plugged into that optimism than you were, just because you were like a teenager then.
I know, right? I was like 16, so like
so yeah, you were like because for me, I wasn't even really that online, in like 2011. Like I just wasn't really. I was just like, yeah, I have Facebook, but like whatever.
Yeah,
I wasn't. I guess I was on Twitter, but not really like up in any kind of thing. And so I only really started to get really online around like 2016, when
the Trump years.
When things were like, it's like turning into the next hell. It would have started to go to hell in some way.
Yeah, not even for the reasons that most people think, but yeah, it was the start of a very dark timeline, and I'm still kind of coming to terms with whatever the fuck that means for the future, and the whole Mark Fisher tip of not even being able to visualize the future, which I don't know if there have been antidotes to that have been presented in more recent developments over the last year, and even since he passed or whatever. And maybe I'm biased, but I have no idea what the fuck is going on. Like, I don't know what's what's coming in the future. Like I feel kind of disengaged in a way, and just see how this dumpster fire plays out, I guess.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, actually, I'll tell you. You were asking like, what are my like sort of theoretical, like, what's bouncing around in my head that's kind of inspiring for uh I don't know, like conceptual stuff for art, and like, what I'm making and what we might make. I mean, the thing I've been with the lyrics I've been writing for this new thing that I'm keeping under wraps, a lot of it is about just withdrawal from the political, which isn't
Yeah.
really possible, because it just all,
Yeah.
I mean, to even open your mouth in the social world means you're dealing with what's in the air and the drinking water, and it's just hardcore politics across the board.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to completely disengage, but attempting to,
Yeah.
I've been kind of
Absolutely.
attempting. You know who I've been reading a little bit is Junger. You ever read Ernst Junger?
I've been wanting to read him for a good amount of time. I'm definitely familiar with some of his concepts and works, and I just haven't got around to actually reading him. But yeah, like
Yeah, his stuff, actually, his stuff about technology is kind of interesting, or like total mobilization is an interesting essay. But just I like just his idea of like the anarch, this person who like is like in the world but like in some way detached politically, and
yeah,
I guess he was kind of like, he was on some like German conservative revolutionary, like between the world wars guy, but then
yeah,
the Nazis happened and he was like, no, I'm not down with this.
yeah,
But he's like, I also don't want to get like persecuted. So he's just like this weird, like attempting to not be political in a really politically fraught time, and sort of trying to cultivate some kind of withdrawal, but without actually exiting society, and I don't know. It's I'm drawing some inspiration from this and
no,
trying to like,
totally,
it's like, I don't know, there's some like vague. Also, this is not really Junger's vibe, but just like really vague spiritual like mysticism, just like the occult. I mean, we were
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about, we were talking about just the occult and alchemy and these kind of, and magic and stuff. This is where my head is at, and it was kind of where my head was at 10 years ago.
yeah, same.
10 years ago, I didn't have the same. There wasn't this insane political war going on for me to retreat from. Whereas like now, I'm just like, man, I cannot. I'm just like, how can I not play ball? How can I speak and make work and not be like at war with something?
Yeah.
It's
And I think he probably will be at war with something to some extent, but probably not going to be this sort of basic, I don't know, political binary and just like hot button hysterical shit.
yeah.
No, I mean, I think if we're going to talk about solutions and ways to withdraw from the political, I mean, the sort of spiritual and the mystical is the best way to start. And I feel like, I mean, this is probably old news to a lot of people by now, but like a sort of spiritual crisis and a spiritual lacking is, I think, a huge reason why, nobody has the ability to collectively mobilize anybody.
Yeah. 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 To even do politics in any kind of
Yeah.
deep way, you have to have some kind of apolitical like strength or something from within, I guess. It's like, yeah, I'm still the kind of stuff though with politics that I am interested in. I am always interested in like the sort of political like implications of art, like stuff that's ambiguous, but like just kind of being like, this could kind of imply like a right-wingish thing, or no, this implies like a lefty communist, like, but like without being like, this, we're doing this, blah blah, but just kind of being able to interpret in vague ways, or like tease out implications. I don't know, like that still interests me.
Yeah, no, I feel like people are constantly on the lookout for just certain litmus tests and ways to, I don't know, I guess pin down certain ideological associations based off a work of art. And I think it's so much more interesting and fun to keep those things indeterminate, constantly moving, and a sense of mystery to it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm actually just like, I'm not done with it, but I was just making this video about Death in June and Current 93 as a pair, and kind of just like comparing
Yeah.
Being like, some of this stuff isn't political the way it might obviously seem or something, and then some of it totally is exactly what it seems like. But,
Yeah, I mean, they Death in June, they were like, it used to be like a leftist post-punk band, right? And then
yeah,
everybody's trying to act like they're like super fascists and all that stuff. What I feel like it's really obvious. I mean, yeah, there are like political implications there, and I don't really care about Douglas P's actual politics, but to me, it just seems like the sort of horrors of the 20th century and the horrors of the World War, and
yeah. I mean, I'm interested in the implicit politics in the work, though. Like stuff where it's like not like, well, what does he believe, but like
yeah,
what does the art like kind of suggest? And so yeah, the fact that he would be on some like far left thing, and then the later art is like has a far right wing elements, sort of. How is that not a contradiction? Like how is that actually in a way part of the same thing? So yeah, that's the thing. It's like I'm still interested. I'm still interested in thinking about this kind of stuff, but it's just like how to do it, but like stay in your lane, and how to like like this is
yeah.
I don't know. This is the kind of stuff that's in my mind for like future projects. This thing of
No,
like
totally.
withdrawal, but like still being able to engage to whatever extent actually is like joyful and productive. But like but that's the thing though. I don't know, like Xylon. That's why I want Xylon to spark it off though, because they might have some hyper politicized, because I know they're just like straight up like a communist, plus all kinds of other like based like whatever kind of unexpected kind of provocative it takes. But I wouldn't object if they just sparked the whole thing off with just like some hardcore thing about economics. I'd be like, okay, cool, like you said it, not me, like now let's yeah.
Yeah, I think they did put out like what was it, like a labor themed power electronics tape or something along those lines. So I'm sure they would have a lot of interesting places to springboard from in that regard. No, but I feel like I'm on the same sort of, I mean, I think it is a quandary, because I think that, art does have to have some kind of, or not, it doesn't have to, but I think art just inherently has some sort of political agency, and culture has a level of political agency, and the way that it's sort of drawn into what I guess the mainstream's idea of political art is totally pacified and neutered. But
yeah
there has to be a way to be above participating in that while still recognizing the sort of social power that it holds, I guess.
Yeah, totally. I'm always just like, it's interesting, like when I look back on stuff that I was into as a kid, and just all the various stuff, whether it was punk or metal or hardcore or anything, it's like I like never thought of anything as being political, and like I look back and it's like, well, actually this was always just about carving out a sacred, just a space for the sacred and for the ecstatic communal like experience, and it's like, so
love that.
And it's like, and it's sort of just like ecstasy and magic and stuff. And it's just looking back and being like, well, was that left or right wing? Like, what was that? Like, or just like realizing, like when I was a kid, I was like really into Fugazi. Like that was really important to me.
Yeah.
But then being like, well, I was never actually really concerned with like issues. Like there's such a like issues band, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I actually wasn't really, I was getting something totally else from it that was like apolitical, this kind of this like ecstatic sacred rites,
Yeah, it's like a transcendental space. I mean, I think the best kinds of performances, the best kinds of shows, and a lot of like the best records and stuff aim at that sort of experience, like you said, that ecstasy, and a place that is just removed from everything profane. And I mean, it could be a hedonistic thing, or it could be something else, but I love seeing Tim Hecker for that reason, because a lot of his sets are just, so central, or just pure sonic intensity is so central to those shows that it is like a religious experience, a certain ego death. Yeah.
I had not. It's crazy that I had not even checked his music out until you sent me that stuff. I always had heard his name, never checked it out. He's a master, absolute master. That shit was like, Yeah.
Yeah, he was a huge influence on me for sure. Like his production and his just general mood of everything. I love
Yeah.
how he uses acoustic instruments and the way that he sort of processes them and like what he does with ensembles. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
that into stuff that he's done more recently, but like Rave Death, Harmony and Ultraviolet, yeah, great live show too. If
Yep.
you ever get a chance to see him, you definitely should.
Is it just him solo, or does he have?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least when I saw him, it was just him solo, but he does these insane light show things. Like he's not even really visible, or he wasn't visible. I think he's not even on stage. It's just like a complete
Oh, no shit.
sensory assault.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
crazy light shows like haze, smoke, where you
Okay.
can't
Yeah.
see right in front of you. And I'm just a huge fan of that sort of thing. So
Yes. Yeah. 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 Man, it was so right before COVID hit when I was 1 week, and I probably told you this. Like I was on tour with Psalm Zero, like all
yeah,
the way down in Miami when the COVID hit, and I had spent like a couple weeks and a bunch of money to get like right before the tour to get this like light show. Like I got like a bunch of like rotating
damn,
lights and stuff, and like learned how to program all of them with MIDI stuff. And I like I was just staying up for like so many nights,
yeah,
cracked out, learning how to do this stuff.
Adderall.
Yeah, man. And I just did this whole like light. I had like a whole light show for like the whole song, like synced up to all the like beats and like everything. And it's just like, yeah, 1 week in, it's just like boom, and it's done. And now I'm on to new projects. I mean, not that Psalm Zero's over, but but that set is over.
Man,
I'm not reviving that tour. That light show. It's just like, God damn it, like.
I really love that Psalm Zero record. I think the most recent
Oh,
one that you did too. So
thank you,
that's a.
sir.
I feel like the crazy light show thing would have been super cool with that.
It was
It's a bummer
cool.
that it didn't pan
Yeah,
out, but
yeah, man. I just also like I get like I don't know, man. If I'm not like, it's easy. I always want to move on to the next thing, man. This is the thing. It's like
me too.
I get. So it's like COVID. It's like I'm just when that shit hit, I was just like the second shows are back. Like we're just picking up where we left off. It's just like I'm
Yeah,
not gonna do that. I'm on to the next project. It's
no, totally.
gotta just accept that. Are you doing a new Silk Defect record? Are you like right now doing like in the process, or like?
I mean, I've been working on shit like even when I put this one out. Let's see, there's probably at least an hour more of material that was kind of just I don't know shelved or whatever you want to say.
Hell
So I
yeah.
already had like an abundance of shit even then. But then, over the last year, I've just been getting a ton and ton of even more material. So now basically I'm at a place where I just have way too much shit. And
That's exciting, dude.
I
That's a
get really
great place.
disorganized. I mean, it's not the best place at the same time because it's about quality, not quantity. And really the hard part in the actual work of like making these records is to me is like, choosing the tracks, just going back and refining stuff. I never really finished things until like the end, like
Yeah,
to where
yeah.
like I know that this is going to be like an actualized project and I'm going to treat it as such. But it's really
Yeah.
easy. But no, I'm the same way. I mean, I'm just like constantly recording stuff, constantly trying to move on. I go a little too fast sometimes and then I get disorganized.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. What was it? I can't remember who said this. It's like famous thing, like that. A great work of art is never finished. It's only abandoned.
yeah,
Right? You
essentially.
never finish it. I can't remember who said that, but yeah, like, is that how you when you write those pieces or like compose those pieces? Is that how you have even within a piece you have like too much shit and then you whittle it down? Is that kind
Oh
of how you?
yeah.
It's like,
Oh
yeah,
totally.
that's yeah, yeah,
I feel like we ended up whittling, and that was kind of a lot of the work that Xylon and I did together. Is just kind of helping me with that sort of discriminate eye of knowing when to, trim down and pull back, and trying to, meet certain length requirements as a sort of personal challenge, and just
yeah.
really being really intentional and deliberate with what's there. But yeah, a lot of those, I think that record was probably like 40, 45 minutes
Mm-hmm.
until I cut it down. And so yeah, I've really been anxious and frustrated, and a problem that I've been running into is that I just haven't been able to like record vocals properly. Um, so I have just like a ton of instrumental production oriented material, and another thing that I do is that I just go in like 10 different styles or sounds or genres,
Yeah.
depending. So it's a
Well,
matter of
you're
finding
making
clarity.
you're making that work though. That gels. But you don't have a situation for recording vocals. You mean just technically, like mic wise, or like?
I have a mic, I have an audio interface. It's just a matter of space, just because there's a lot of like noise pollution and like here. And I don't know. I mean, I kind of require a lot of, I just want to like a place where I have full privacy or as much
Yeah.
privacy as possible. And I can really, because like I recorded the vocals on the last one in a basement in a room house with like 4 different roommates. And, I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is, but yeah, I get shy about that sort of thing. So like
Yeah.
you'll even hear it on the record, and a lot of those vocals are, and like pretty limited range wise, because I had to do them out at really low volume. So
Yeah. Wait a second, man. Are we like not on? Are we on some level not live or something? It says YouTube does not support comments on private videos. Create a public or unlisted broadcast to show comments from your viewers. Are we like not fucking? Dude, this says private, man. Am I fucking up, dude? Did I fuck us up?
I don't know, man.
Did I fuck us up? Maybe I fucked us up.
It is what it is, but
yeah, but we've got viewers though. I'm looking at viewers.
damn.
I'm seeing viewers. Let's
Friday the 13th, man.
I know, right? Well, let's see. I've got I just changed it to the broadcast must be scheduled in the future. Let's see. Well, we're just going to riff how we're riffing because people are watching this. At least 6 viewers are watching this. So we'll see. Maybe you switch it to public later or something. Maybe it's just only the people who have the link or something like that.
Yeah. No worries.
It's all good. Yeah, but the comments are good though.
Oh,
but,
good, man.
In any case, like, yeah. Well, so as far as concepts though, like, because the one thing on Silk Defect that I didn't really pick through though is like, what is like what I didn't really get deep on like lyrics or anything like that. Like, was are there like lyrical concepts or because like it's definitely not like like the voice is often kind of buried or like obscured, like, and so you get the mood and there's words that pop out and phrases, but it's not like this is what I'm saying. Check it out. Like, do you have like concepts going? Like, what's the?
I actually did write lyrics for almost all of those tracks, besides like the second one, which is kind of more of a Cocteau Twins-esque, just kind of textural shit. There were definitely concepts that I was playing with. It was pretty sick, actually, because, what part of the fun of doing vocals for the first time in a while was being able to, write lyrics again. And I've always kind of like dabbled in writing poetry here and there and never showed anything. But I guess they're essentially just kind of like poems to me that I kind of sung. But a lot of it was, I would say, pretty personal stuff, but there's like a sort of political element to it as well, because I was and it was it was a weird time period because this thing was already pretty much finished by March. So like it was right before COVID and everything, and I was living in Portland, so I feel like a lot of it was just kind of the experience of my life circumstances, I guess, which was just, working shitty jobs, and even kind of like the whole Mark Fisher tip of like, where's the future? Like, what is the future?
Yeah, but from a slightly more personal kind of feeling. Yeah,
I actually had them posted for a while, but I took them down because I don't know, just felt like it. But
oh, you had them posted, but they're not posted anymore. Because I'd be into kind of checking that out.
No, yeah, I'll send them to you.
Yeah, send me those lyrics just to kind of, Although it's always.
I mean, I would have liked for it to be sort of more, what's the word, legible on the record. But again, the vocals were like the hardest part of that whole thing, and that's why on the next one, I want to get those really honed down and be in a proper space. So I have all this production, and when I get the chance to really graft songs around it, it'd be cool. But
Yeah,
I
man.
don't know if I fully answered your question, but
No, you did. No, you did. I feel it. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I didn't expect you necessarily had a thing where it's just like every single song revolves around some issue, you know.
a
But
lot of
yeah.
it was like super influenced by like class, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that was in the sort of mania of when we all thought that Bernie Sanders was, gonna win the primary. And
Uh-huh.
I was in this like community college class, like this working class literature course, which was
Oh, that's
kind of an
legit.
influencing me on that level. But yeah, it's just weird because like I was looking at things from a perspective that certainly doesn't exist anymore. You know what I mean? I guess
Really?
conceptually speaking.
It doesn't the perspective doesn't exist like a year later, you're feeling like? Or
Well, it's not that I don't stand by it, but I just feel like it was, I was very much influenced by like the Popular Front in the 30s and the sort of um, just the way that culture was kind of coalescing around like the labor movement back then and just
Mhm.
America's sort of deep history with a lot of militant labor shit and like communist and socialist
Yeah.
shit. And I guess I don't know. COVID just kind of changed a lot for me ideologically and politically to the point where not even that I don't have the same convictions that I did, but I am definitely at a place where I think that new perspectives are necessary, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Is it just Bernie not winning is kind of is that like just level of pessimism set in or something, or just
Not
totally
not quite like that.
rethinking what's necessary or whatever?
Not even quite like that. I think, is what the biggest thing was really COVID. I think even
Yeah.
more so than Bernie not winning or whatever. And like, I don't know. I mean, even back then I wasn't quite like I was always kind of like critically supportive of Bernie Sanders. I wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily an electoralist politically and kind of identified with as more of kind of like a libertarian socialist, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It was more just after all of that, I decided that I just kind of wanted to try out being ideologically homeless.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think that there is no left in America. And I think back then I kind of was still under the impression that there's, positive things happening in terms of class politics in the States, which is not even to say that I'm totally defeated about that now, because I'm not hopeless about that sort of thing. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Definitely we're different spot.
Yeah. It's not animating you. Those kind of ideas are not the flame for you right now.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Yeah, I actually didn't really know exactly that. I knew you were into Fisher, but when we hung out, I guess I didn't have a total sense of your like labor vibe at least like a year ago. You come from kind of like a working class background, or more middle, or like
I mean, it depends how you define it, I guess.
yeah, I don't know, whatever.
Maybe
Yeah,
middle class, working class. I don't know. Cause like my dad worked, in basically a factory in like manufacturing for aerospace stuff my whole life. So, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and then my mom was like a travel agent.
Okay,
So
yeah.
if
So this,
that's,
yeah, it hits close to the yeah. This
well,
that's
I mean,
relatively is in your
well, especially my
realm. Yeah,
Well, yes, and they're both super conservative people, and my dad's always been super conservative, and that always gave me a pretty keen awareness of just seeing what he was dealing through, getting laid off multiple times over the course of me growing up, and
yeah,
like all these hot button issues of like outsourcing and deindustrialization definitely like hit, literally close to home,
yeah.
and gave me an understanding of the sort of I don't know conservative hesitation and resistance towards certain democratic policies or
Yes. Yeah, yeah. No, no, I feel
whatever.
you. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, so yeah, you have a taste of like working class politics of on the other side or on a different
Yeah.
non-lefty kind of side, like a little bit from home and stuff. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Actually, we do have comments here. I you can see them in YouTube. You can't see them on the thing. So, oh yeah, we've got the homie Vasta is in the house. Do you know Vasta
Shit.
from Twitter?
I've been off Twitter for a
Yeah.
while, but what's up?
I don't know Vasta. Well, he goes by the Inundation on here. But oh yeah, we got Charlemagne in the house and Banks. Oh, Primal Wound is another. That's some music. I'll send you some Primal Wound.
Oh
That's
yeah,
this
I'd love to check it out.
that's this lady Charlemagne. I think you would vibe also on a personal level. But let's see. Vasta wants to know, what does Vasta want to know? All kinds of interesting stuff. Something about chord progression. Yeah. Yeah, Vasta wants to know how do you approach your chords?
Um, oh, okay. Well, I guess I could answer that first of all in the sense that I just like I've always been super into jazz voicings, extended voicings, I guess, things along those lines. I've always been really into modes, but I tend to overuse minor sevenths, minor nines, add nines. So I love like the nine interval. I love like the seven interval, and I tend to use that in whatever context I can. Um, yeah, and I like to write a lot of chord progressions. I guess you could say modally, but I don't know. I love Lydian, so
Me too.
like
Yeah, that
yeah,
dazed has that dazed kind of sound and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, just like a lot of extended harmony, and I mean maybe not that extended, but
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, because we talked a little bit about how you were saying how like you never like studied jazz on some like I'm a jazz guy, but that your theory vibe is kind of roughly in that way of understanding, right? Like seven
yeah,
chords and like
yeah,
you know some theory like
yeah,
in that vein,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Even playing with like the Coltrane circle of fifths or whatever
Yeah.
was super interesting to me. And in terms of the record, it's really not that insane harmonically. I guess it's pretty simple, but there are a couple tracks that I think have like some key changes or something along those lines. So
Well, yeah, it sounds like harmonically like controlled and stuff. I mean, it's not yeah, you're doing
yeah,
like harmonic songwriting.
yeah,
It's not just like a sound that happens to a
yeah,
chord or whatever. It's like a
yeah.
yeah. There's like you can tell when something's sort of how much the harmony matters to the songwriter. Versus yeah. Oh,
I
Vasta wants
love
to.
Brian Wilson, so
Yeah, well, yeah. Then you're dealing just like super hooked up, right? Chord progressions and stuff. Yeah, and you're a Beatles guy from day one, so there you
yeah.
go. Vasta also wants to know. Says ask him about the esoteric meanings in the Hollowed Womb video. I haven't checked out that video. This is a video from Silk
Yeah,
Defect.
yeah, yeah. You should check it out at some point. That was really fun to do with my friend Marcello, who his Instagram is Angel Plus Ultra or something along those lines.
Oh,
But
he followed me. I'll
oh
follow
yeah,
him
yeah,
back.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, him and my old friend Vicente came out to um Portland and that house that we were staying in, which has a bit of backstory and mythology to me, I guess, for a number of reasons. But um, let's see. Yeah, it was really fun to do. I mean, I almost kind of saw it as like a sort of desolate psychedelic shack. Like you think about the idea of like a psychedelic shack, but then I guess like apply some, I don't know, what, 40, 50 years later, and in the time of COVID and like this kind of domestic space of isolation. But the esoteric meaning of it, let's see, I have to remember just a lot of the
Won't be esoteric once you say what it is, but no, please go for it.
no, yeah. Well, I mean, that Virgin Mary photo is really, really important to me. And I believe that it might have been blessed by Our Lady of Medjugorje, which I don't know if you've heard about this, but I've been to
No.
Medjugorje. It's this country in Eastern Europe, and there are like these 5 children who apparently like saw Marian apparitions and were being delivered messages from her for the span of like years. But
Whoa.
it's got a huge following. I actually don't think that it's like endorsed by the Catholic Church, but regardless, millions of people go there every year. I went there on a pilgrimage with my mother. But yeah, that Virgin Mary painting has just been with me since I was a child.
Oh
And
yeah, that was no. I remember hearing about this town. Yeah, my girlfriend was listening to a podcast where they were talking about that, and
oh, sick.
it wasn't a Catholic podcast either. It was more of
Yeah.
like an esoteric occult kind kind of podcast. What was the name of the town again?
Medjugorje.
Medjugorje. Okay.
Yeah, and I might not be pronouncing it correctly, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if there's like a proper like esoteric meaning to, in the sense of like I had this specific intent when I made that video. I think a lot of it was just making use of like strange environments in that place and just seeing what we could do with the living room, the tea lights and all that sort of thing. I mean, I was doing cool things or things that I enjoyed, like just kind of like throwing rose petals on the ground to, because I'm really into like weird juxtapositions of like nature and non-nature, I guess, like the organic and the inorganic. And I definitely wanted that whole video to feel, you know, on a certain level like an apparition. But in terms of like a specific sort of meaning, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, there definitely does not always have to be one, right? I just
I like to like just like let forces work through me, and I'm not always.
Yeah, that's esoteric too. I mean, that is, you know, yeah.
But it did feel like a portal. That house felt like a portal for sure. Yeah. And I was told by certain people on the internet that it had inhabitations. So,
dude, houses, man. I mean, just, you know, the whole haunted house trope is, I mean, that's real. You know, houses. I mean, I feel like any house, it does get imbued with energies. You know, I mean, I guess to different kinds or to greater or lesser extents. But
residue.
Yeah, it's like residue. I mean, the place I was living in before I moved here 2 years ago was like definitely, I don't know if you'd call it haunted, but
yeah,
it got charged with all kinds of insane energies. Like especially,
I love that.
Especially the room that I was in. I think my room got pretty dark because the guy who moved into it. Sorry, the guy who moved out, like for me to move in, was this guy who just like went full on like Wignat, like fash, like he and it was like that was I moved in 2016, so this was like 2015, 2016. He just like spiraled. He went from some like, you know, kind of dorky like failed artist bro, like to just Hitler, to just like he was just wigging out. And
the Chapo to Pash pipeline, I guess.
That's so cringe, dude. Chapo to fat, like really? How many people?
Have you seen that tweet though? That, I mean, it's like super fucking old by now. It's like ancient history with how fast the internet moves. But that comes from like this like tweet. I think her name was like Gwyneth something, I don't know, but she had this whole thing about how like the dirtbag left were like crypto fascists and are like turning everybody into fascists.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's like, lady, maybe people are just fed up with people like you. You ever fucking think about that? Maybe. Yeah. But in any case, but this guy was more than fed up with people like her. This guy fashed out really hard.
No, for sure.
So there's this energy vortex in the place. Man, Vasta's all up. Oh, here we got interesting. Sun Through Trees wants to know, I got a question. What are your thoughts on non-duality? Also, the idea that mental illness is actually correlated to a spiritual emergence. I like that question.
That's a good question for me, I guess.
Yeah.
Non-duality.
What do you think?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like I've always, because like a lot of the place that I come from with like my music stuff was just kind of being infatuated with psychedelic counterculture when I was in high school and everything, and that kind of fascination still stayed. But a lot of that was kind of an entry point for me to, you know, explore more Eastern philosophy as somebody who came up like in a super Catholic and super Christian home. But I mean, yeah, what do I think about non-duality? I mean, I think it's a good and helpful perspective to look at things. And I'm definitely a person who tries to avoid binaries when possible. And I feel like I have a lot of internal sort of extremes and contradictions, but I think, and maybe I see like non-duality in the sense of like a synthesis, as opposed to just, I don't know, like, I don't know, I'm into extremity. So like, you could say that like extremity is like dual or binary, but
Like
I
you
don't
want to
know.
transcend. You're talking more about
Yeah,
like transcending or reconciling rather than just
absolutely.
not rather than like there's no duality in the first place or something. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, that kind of goes to the next part of what you said with mental illness as spiritual emergence. Although you have to be careful with stuff like that because, if I don't know, mental illness can be damaging to your spiritual makeup on a lot of levels as well. Not even that I'm an expert or an authority, but you always have to continue to, retain an air of self-skepticism when you know that you have certain perceptual biases. But with that being said, I think that like the any sort of, well, back to alchemy, right? You turn lead into gold through a combination of heat and pressure. And my Judeo-Christian background, I mean, Christ descended into hell for 3 days before he went to heaven. I mean, the entire sacrifice that he made was essentially, taking upon himself personally all of the pain and suffering and devastation of humanity, and experiencing that on his own for us, which, with that, I guess I might be digressing a little bit. Just the regenerative capacity of pain and suffering and endurance and persistence.
Yeah, isn't there some stuff with like how Christ, like the crucifixion is kind of like being torn between opposites or something? How the light is splaying out, right? Isn't that kind of because I went through a phase of reading Gnostic stuff, and kind of really getting into. I mean, I wasn't raised Christian at all, but but sort of, yeah, like reading the sort of this hermetic, this way in which, yeah, like just the hermetic tradition was kind of like carried on through certain kinds of like Gnostic Christianity and stuff.
Yeah.
Where so it's like alchemy, like Christ is kind of could be the philosopher's stone or something.
Yeah.
Sort of,
the Gnostic Christ and the Christ of Gnosis. I think that shit's sick. I mean, a lot of people that I talk to see Gnostic Christianity as actually a truer form of Christianity than the rest. And when you like look and study to see what the earliest Christian communities were like, they were super communal, super collective, and very different than what happened when Christianity became basically an instrument of the state of Rome, right? Which the rest is history. But
yeah. This Sun Through Trees says, tell him this is Mikey from Mater Dei.
Oh, dude, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean,
non-duality. I remember that we talked about that back in the day.
Yeah, he says
he's an old friend.
The one now album, please. Badass. Or that's Inundation says that. But word. Yeah, like a lot of that stuff, like a lot of that alchemical and Gnostic imagery and that occult stuff that I was reading through, like Jung.
Yeah, I
love
a
lot about, and it's like, it's weird. Like, to me, I was kind of getting the non-dual vibe in this way where it seems like it's not literally possible to really think non-duality, like intellectually, like you can't really speak it, but like these symbols let you access it, right? Like in this sub-rational way where it's like just reading this stuff where it's like, it isn't even like, oh, this is what non-duality is. Just like talking around these symbols and like the Orphic egg, like behind me, and the, like the Philosopher's Stone and the retort and the homunculus, like all these symbols. It's like, it was starting to like sink in. Like I was feeling redeemed in some way, and that opposites were being in some way transcended, right? But like not in ways that could be articulated completely rationally or verbally, where it's just interfacing with the symbols. The symbols are so powerful in themselves, right? That it like affects you psychically,
I think music and art are, essentially identical forces and identical states of consciousness. And to what you just described, I mean,
Yeah.
And there's definitely a sort of a level of that that's just can never be accessed at anything but subjective experience, and the limits of language and rationality, do nothing but profane
Yeah.
those sorts of revelations.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what I love about just with a lot of that stuff. It's like if you're talking about like the spirit, like the alchemical substance or whatever, it'll be
Yeah.
like they'll be like it's fire, but it's water, but it's
Yeah.
wind, like but like it's not like rational where it's like no, it's this and therefore it's not that. It's just like talking around this shit, you know what I mean? It's the most high, but it's the most low, first and last, like all
Well,
that,
even God, I mean, God in some levels could be defined by absence. You know what I mean?
I think I do, but wait, keep going though. Yeah, but you mean just the inability to like speak God or to like think God? That sort of is that absence is the essence, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, in a certain way, I mean, and to be honest, I don't even. I'm trying to find the words for it. But we exist in a state of disconnection from the all, from the everything, from God. If you want to think about it in terms of like a sort of ego death kind of place or like anything like that. But I don't know, something that I like kind of because I've been trying to get into Simone Weil a little bit more.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude, Gravity
And
and
she,
Grace.
yeah.
Dude,
That's kind of
dude,
because then I'm trying to like paraphrase
crushing.
it, but
Dude, crushing. I gotta reread that, man, because
me too.
that was so much paradoxical talk in there and just like weird heresy that you like wouldn't. Yeah, like it's like not believing in God is like the ultimate belief and like these really weird,
Yeah.
paradoxical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She thinks that evil is God's way of showing his mercy, that so
Yeah.
the existence of evil is a testament to God's mercy. So it's definitely a lot of like inversion happening there, and a lot of, but that's how you get insight out of even like the Tao Te Ching or whatever. It's kind of like these aphorisms, these contradictions.
Yeah, her stuff is very aphoristic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like there's like Nietzschean elements to it. I mean, it's a little less like
Yeah.
a little less fire and brimstone. It's the idea of grace, man. I was really like I was reading that book a lot when I was getting off of drugs back in
Dude.
back in 2018. It was like a big part of that was like kind of a big part of that like fall of 2018, kind of just like turning shit around, and
Well, dude, it seems like it did you a lot of good looking at where you are now.
yeah, man, absolutely. But you're like, are you actually like Catholic now? I mean, or do you kind of consider yourself Catholic, or is it more just like a thing that you have a relationship to? But it's like,
It's weird, but I mean, I could say that I'm like culturally Catholic, if that is even a thing, which it might not be, and that's fine. But
you said culturally Catholic. You said,
well, yeah, because I didn't necessarily grow up with any sort of super strong connection or identification with any sort of like national heritage. So that was kind of, I mean, to me, that's kind of like what it feels like my heritage is, or what I know of my heritage. But yeah, I mean, I've retained a huge influence from Catholicism on everything. I'm not necessarily practicing. I don't even necessarily see the world in that way because, I've always been, there can be a sort of dogma to it, and even the idea of a canon, like a Catholic canon, the idea that there's a lot of mystery in Catholicism too, but I think that it can be demystifying to just have a set of acceptable beliefs. And
right. No, of course. But yeah, I mean, it does seem to me like Gnostic Christianity or that kind of realm of the occult is more like compatible with just the Catholicism than it is with like Protestant, like just being like a, like Lutheran or whatever. But yeah, like oh wait, Harrison Vanette says talking about says are you talking about an apophatic understanding? Apophatic?
Yeah, that's the Orthodox concept, right? Let me look. Apophatic theology, or is that what it is? Let me see. Yeah. Knowledge of God obtained through negation. I had to fucking Google it real quick to make sure, but
No, that's interesting. Attained through
I haven't,
negation.
and I haven't studied any of this stuff super deeply yet, and they're just kind of new concepts to me that I'm definitely interested in delving into more deeply.
Yeah.
Because you grow up with this idea of a personal God and a God that listens to you and like cares about you as an individual, and um, as you get a little bit older, it's like that way of thinking about God or divinity doesn't always feel like it holds up. So
You've got like two every year. You just get more evidence to the contrary.
yeah,
Like, just it was then that you totally didn't carry me. Okay, all right.
because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, well, I don't know if this is. I don't even know if I should say this necessarily, but it's very easy to feel like God has completely forsaken all of us. I would say, or forsaken the world, and I mean, yeah, on some level, He has, and what isn't the whole way of handling with that, or what did she say that like that's when you open yourself up for the capacity to allow grace to enter into you, is in that period of or being forsaken.
Yeah, that's like the book of Job, is that right? Or
Yeah, that no, yeah,
a
totally,
large part.
totally.
Yeah, yeah. I remember she talks about that. Yeah, for sure. She talks a lot about pain, right?
Yeah.
She's always talking about. I
Yeah, yeah.
liked. There's some things she was saying like about how like the biggest torture is not knowing when pain is going to end. Like
Yeah.
if you know that it's going to end, there's some relief. If you know that it's never going to end and it's eternal torment, then there's relief in that. But the idea that it could end at any moment is like the ultimate sort of trial or something. I don't know. I didn't know exactly what to do with that, but I found
No,
it.
for sure.
I found it.
A lot of
Inspiring.
her stuff is like that. It's like, wow, that's fucking wild shit right there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I hadn't even actually. Yeah, who got me or steered me towards Simone Weil was Justin Murphy, who's like
Yeah.
Catholic and into all this theory and stuff. I
I
like.
watched this video on her on like why you shouldn't believe in God, and I
Yes.
thought that was really, because I've been the kind of person that has been praying for a long time, but I pray even when I feel like I don't believe, and that really hits
Yes.
me. So
Yes. Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
I'm faithless in a lot of ways. I don't know. I have an abundance of faith and a lack of it. It's weird, but
The thing is, I've been saying I believe in God now, and it's one of these things where it's like anyone who's smart knows that nobody really thinks that there's a guy with a big white beard. I mean, people think that, but I mean, nobody actually thinks there's a man on a cloud. No one who's like actually intelligent. But it's like, but then to say I believe in God, it's like, am I just being like a poser or whatever because I don't like practice religion? But it's especially not Christianity specifically, but it's like, to me, to say that, to just be putting that, even not publicly, even just in your head,
yeah.
it's like there is this humility and this sort of like staking out this position,
No, totally, totally.
in relation to reality, where it's almost like a prayer. To even say I believe in God is itself like a prayer of sorts.
It is a prayer, honestly. I would
Yeah.
say so, or it sounds like a prayer. You're jabbing jabbing, but I liked what you said about putting a stake in. That's what it is. It's like this like tendril that you're planting in your brain to see what happens if it grows.
Yeah, man, because
It's a leap of faith. It's a not. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, like it just, especially as I get to especially as I've gotten to this recent sort of like midlife point, like just the past year or two, I'm just like, this idea that God has a plan for you, like that idea of like the creator has a master
Yeah.
plan, God has a plan. It's like, it sounds like from a rational standpoint, it totally sounds like you're saying it's the guy with the white beard having a plan, because it sounds so human, that a guy would have a plan. But it's like I'm living that way now, or I'm trying to look at my life that way, because I'm like, just in the sense of like accepting everything that's ever happened to you up to this point, everything that you've ever done, everything that's ever happened to you, accepting it as though God has a plan for you, because you have to affirm your life.
I mean, fucking Sisyphus. I mean, it feels like something like that to an extent.
Wait, how so? I mean, I know the myth, but like
maybe it's not totally parallel, but it just, just pushing on regardless, even, despite
Yes.
the seeming absurdity, I guess.
Right,
But
right, right. Yeah, like affirming the entire fact that the things rolled down the hill 10,000 times. Yeah, and just
yeah.
keeping on going and stuff. Um,
Now I
yeah,
relate to that a lot though, actually, for sure. And it's really weird to kind of like, and like what you're saying about like, humanizing God or like, you know, anthropomorphizing him is something that a lot of like American Christianity and American Catholicism has a tendency to do. And I was definitely brought up with a lot of that. And it can be difficult realization to, I mean, your faith or lack thereof expands from it, but it can be a harsh realization when you're taught this idea of God being having so many human qualities
right.
that
And then
def-
it's like he doesn't, and you're like,
yeah,
it's like shocking. Yeah.
yeah, like he probably just, I don't know, never mind.
No, no, what to go? Keep going, bro.
Nah,
No, 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 no. Because I'm just, I mean, to me, it's like I don't know, like on the one hand, like being reactionary against stuff with for no I don't know, being too knee jerk against stuff is it can be really weak and stupid. But just having come from where I'm coming from with like such an atheist
yeah,
background, you know, you're talking about, you said culturally Catholic, I'm definitely coming from like culturally Jewish
yeah, yeah, yeah,
in that really like urban way where it's like
yeah,
really like the kind of well, I wouldn't say my parents have this attitude, but my general cultural feel that I grew up in was like that kind of coastal, like smug atheism. I mean, really,
yeah,
really just thinking that you're too smart for God, and just
yeah.
seeing the way culture is going, and just really getting this like getting older. I find that attitude disgusting. Actually, I mean
Oh, totally.
that kind of condescending atheism
Me too, man.
is has got to go. It is like a spiritual sickness, So I'm kind of like believing in God. I mean, you have to stake out some kind of other orientation toward some kind of humility
Yeah.
in order to gain power. By relinquishing a certain amount of it. You know.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, like, I feel like that's why there can feel like there's so much of a cultural vacuum because, that way of thinking is just so dominant that, I think it dismisses and reduces just centuries of things that were completely definitive to being human and to just like, millennia of cultural history and like a shared history. And
just higher values. Any kind of like
yeah,
higher referent,
yeah,
is like yeah. I mean, I feel like people, I don't know, people who are atheists, people who are really avowed atheists do have these higher values, but they don't
no, I agree. I agree.
they don't recognize them as a lot of people don't recognize them as pseudo religious. It's really just more like justice or equality or like these sort of political um
Yeah,
things that are nice,
yeah,
but kind of
totally.
but that are kind of like higher values. But I think it's kind of sick though to just have the like really humble,
Yeah.
like idea of actually like abasing yourself before God on some level.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, I feel like you're gonna have to do it whether you like it or not, so might as well cooperate with it on
yeah,
some
yeah,
level. Because you're gonna
yeah,
be fucking a base. You're gonna be a base,
yeah.
and
No, for real, and
maybe not everybody, but
yeah, and at least to be able to approach that with some kind of not just grace but like aesthetics, because
yeah,
that's the
yeah, yeah.
thing is like Catholicism has aesthetics
Yo,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
occult has aesthetics. This is yeah, no, I mean no disrespect to any Protestant people listening, but I just my parents moved out to Connecticut, and so when I go out there, there are like these all those like kind of like those like chapels, those like really modest like
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
white wooden, and I'm like, I hate this, dude. I hate, I mean, I don't hate the religion, but I'm like, this aesthetic sucks like compared to like Catholic opulence.
Oh,
Just
totally.
like the gold and the incense of Catholicism. I'm like, that's religion, man, not like this weird modest little like chapel thing.
Yeah. I mean, but also like the sort of American Christianity, like capitalist, like prosperity gospel megachurch shit. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, that's like the next level of like bad. Yeah, it's like the first.
That's like bad opulence.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just money. That's the thing. It isn't even like, it doesn't even have the opulence of like, yeah, the aesthetics of like excess. You know what I mean? It's like just, yeah, like.
Oh, dude, but that's totally true about Catholicism. You know, there's a very deep sense of aesthetics. Like I grew up surrounded by sort of relics and religious iconography. I mean, I even have stuff in this room that's staring at me right now, just really ornate crucifixes. And I don't know, well, because my dad's Protestant,
okay.
kind of more of the fundamentalist type, but my mom was kind of, she was who, like, you know, primarily made me a Catholic or whatever, but
okay, so she's Catholic and he's Protestant.
But it was interesting growing up seeing a lot of the very, very deep grievances that exist between Protestants and Catholics, even in the context of a marriage. And like, because like a lot of Protestants will, you know, get really sanctimonious about just like relics, like paintings, like a lot of the Catholic saint veneration, and statues and stuff like that, and they'll try to say that that's idolatry.
Right.
Which is, you know, probably goes back to the whole Protestant work ethic thing and modesty and humility and all of that. But you know,
right.
Maybe that's why there's so much hesitation. Is that beauty is, you know, an idol? So
right. I mean,
but I don't know.
That's the thing, though. It's like, isn't like, I mean, it's all about humility and some kind of submission, you know? So it's like, to me, I don't know why, opulence or like idolatry is necessarily like a lack of humility. I mean,
absolutely.
Because yeah, I guess it's like when you have these very spare like New England chapels and stuff, that's like, there's a humility in that it's humble looking, but to abase yourself, or to humble abase is maybe a little harsh, but to humble to humble oneself before great beauty, before an idol.
Absolutely,
Like that's what I mean, that speaks to me as an artist, man. You know what I mean? Like, just to be humbled before a melody. You know what I mean?
That's
you know.
Yeah, that's like what Baroque kind of was, and a lot of, you know, the history of the West was just I mean, that's how I see art and beauty, is that you're supposed to feel small. You're supposed to feel like absolutely nothing, and just the sheer glory and beauty in front of you, and that's godliness, you know. That's divinity.
Yes, feeling small, man. That is, no, that's a beautiful thing. What? Your friend wants to know. I'm sorry, I already forgot. Sun Through Trees' name.
Mikey.
Mikey. What's up, Mikey? He wants to know. Have you read any Ramana Maharshi?
I have not.
Maharshi?
I have not.
Yeah, it says he totally changed his life and helped him understand God.
Damn, that sounds useful to me right now.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, and also Hafiz, Hafiz. He says he got a lot to catch up on. Sounds like an awesome guy. Thanks for being in the chat, man.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for sure. I mean, thank you to everybody who's here.
Yeah, for real, man. Well, so yeah, we could kind of wind it in the direction of down, I guess.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as, I don't know, like your next stuff that people should look out for, it's like Silk Defect, but like not anything super soon. Is that kind of the?
Don't get me wrong, man. I have a huge sense of urgency with this shit. Like, I've been wanting to put something out for fucking months, and I haven't been in the personal circumstances for it. So I'm trying to move as fast as I can. So, I mean, like, I would love to be able to do at least a single or something by the end of the year, which, you know, hopefully more than that. But
okay, well, so that's a different approach then. You might do singles instead of like an album. Like,
I'd like to do a record too, but you know, if I can't, because the record's going to take as long as it's going to take. Like, if I'm going to commit to that, then, you know, I want to do it right and everything. And, you know, you're always a victim of chance with this kind of thing. So,
I know, dude. I know.
Just to keep things moving, I might do some singles, some videos and stuff. So I want to be playing more shows too. So
yeah, man, for sure. Well, dude, yeah. I mean, if you're doing, dude, let's set something up in LA, dude. Like some kind of show or something, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like I can, because I bet Nothing Human. I did a couple of shows with Nothing Human that was like that went great. It was like right before COVID and stuff, and then it's just I had some more booked, and then it's just like they didn't happen. I was supposed to do something at Coaxial and something at Gold Diggers.
Oh, cool, man.
And then it's just like didn't so it got so maybe if I revive that, we can do some like Silk Defect.
Dude, I would love that.
Nothing Human joints. Let's yeah.
I'm super looking forward to the collab too, and
oh hell yeah.
I don't know if it'll ever turn into a live thing as well, but that would be amazing too.
It would be. Why not?
If it worked out, yeah.
We'll figure out a way. We'll figure out some kind of way. That would be sick. Yeah, we're just waiting on Xylon to drop the initial, probably theory heavy bomb for us.
Yeah.
Sift through. Sick,
sure we can,
man. Yeah. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, nothing. I was just saying, I'm sure we could get started on it pretty soon.
yeah, for sure. Word, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for blessing the stream, man.
Nah, thank you for blessing us.
Yeah, man. And thanks to people for watching and being in the chat. Word, man. I'm gonna check out Angel Plus Ultra's videos and stuff. I'll check out the.
Yeah, he does music too. He's a pretty great producer and sound designer as well. I have a couple more friends too, so if we do talk about shows, I mean, definitely have some people in mind that could play with us. I'm sure you do too.
Let's do it, man. Absolutely. Cool.
All right, man.
Thanks, Bradley.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate you having me, man.
Likewise, dude. We'll talk in a bit.
It was good to see you, man.
Yeah, good times. Peace, man.
See you later.